Thought, when one realizes thought has its right place, then psychologically you don't build an image about oneself, about anything. You see facts as they are.
We all like to think we do that all the time.
No, no. Say, for example, all the religions, whether it's Christianity or Hinduism or Buddhism or Islam, are based on thought. They've so thought whatever it has created is not sacred. All the rituals, all the things that go on in the name of God, in the name of all the rest of it, is not sacred.
But you're talking about the rituals, you say. Yes, for that matter, the structure of the churches, the hierarchies and the rest of it. But what about the original teaching? You wouldn't say that about the teaching, say, of Christ or of Buddha, would you? Or would you?
I would say yes.
Yes?
Because they have been put in print, translated by man to accommodate himself. They are called revelations, some of in Christianity, and in Buddhism there is definite handed down from the Buddha, his disciples, and so on, so on. But it's still not a direct perception, direct understanding, direct and vital insight into that which is eternal.
But how else can such teaching be transmitted? After all, you write books and give discourses and appear on television.
Yes.
I mean, this is the way these things are transmitted. How else can they be transmitted?
No, but if we could see, for example, the word is not the thing. Right? The word, the book, whatever is printed is not the real thing. They're only a means of communication by people who have seen something and then want to communicate to others.
Surely.
And during that communication it gets twisted and the person becomes all important, not what he said.
Well, that, I think, is what I said a moment ago about the churches. The churches institutionalize the great teacher, the great leader, the great seer, and distort it, as you say. But that, again, doesn't affect the teaching. After all, let us take something we're all familiar with, the Sermon on the Mount. Well, Christ spoke those words, they have been written down, and now we read them for ourselves.
Yes,
so they're still his words, are they not?
Now, could we put it differently, the whole thing?
You?
One has to be light to oneself.
Go on.
And you cannot possibly depend on anyone. You cannot have light from another. It cannot be lit by whoever it is, God or by saviors and Buddhas. It cannot be handed down to another. One has to be totally, completely alive to oneself. It doesn't mean selfishly. It doesn't mean egotistic, egocentric activity. On the contrary, to be light oneself means the understanding of oneself so completely that in that understanding there is no distortion of what one is.
Well, do you mean then that none of us needs any of this teaching handed down to us, that we can all discover these things for ourselves?
I'm sure, it is certain that every man is the story of mankind. Obviously. And if one knows how to read oneself, the story of oneself, which is very complex, which needs a great deal of attention, a mind that doesn't distort facts, what is actually seen. That such an attentive, sensitive awareness, that's easy to cultivate, easy to have, then one can read about oneself without any illusion.
But there's a fine line, I think, separating what you say about that attention from what we do most of the time, which is to concentrate on ourselves.
Oh, that is merely egocentric
Well,
activity.
indeed, of course it is, but then we are egocentric.
So, as we are egocentric, and that's creating havoc in the world, why don't we realize the mischief that we are bringing?
Well, that's a question I should ask you. Why don't we realize it?
Either we are totally indifferent to the world, what is happening, or we are so consumed by our own desires and pleasures, it doesn't matter what happens, as long as we fulfill